What is going on, everybody? Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Tux Care stream. Tux Care, where we secure open source. I am your resident senior developer advocate, Chris Mars. Hopefully, you're following me on Twitter. If you're not, follow me on Twitter right there, twitter.com/saltandburnham. If you're not following Tux Care on Twitter, make sure that you follow Tux Care on Twitter, on all the socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Give us a follow on Twitch. If you want to know more about Tux Care, just head over to tuxcare.com. We have some amazing products. We do amazing things with endless lifecycle support, kernel care, and secure chain, which protects your end of life packages before they go end of life, until they go end of life. So you can check that out. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're at. Hopefully you are staying hydrated. I am drinking coffee out of one of my favorite cups. It's a chickadee cup. I love chickadees and I'm a bird nerd, thanks to my partner. So shout out to her, but hopefully you're staying hydrated with whatever you have. I have a great guest today on the stream. This person and I met last year in London, England at Black Hat EU. If you are unfamiliar with Black Hat, it's a cybersecurity conference. It's not like a DEF CON. You don't have to worry about bringing like a separate phone and turning off Wi-Fi or any of that. But there's a couple different DEF CONs. There's DEF CON US that happens in Vegas, which I will be there in August. There is a DEF CON, or I say DEF CON, Black Hat US, sorry, Black Hat US that happens in Vegas, Black Hat Asia that I believe happens in Singapore, and then Black Hat EU that happens in London, England. And this is where I met my guest, and I'm going to bring him up on the stage. And luckily, we couldn't have a full interaction at the event then, but we just stayed in contact ever since. So I'm going to bring up onto the stage my buddy, ZB. Hey, ZB, what's going on? You're muted.
Okay, that's off everyone's bingo cards.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm hydrating too. It's a very good day here in hot Europe, and I'm drinking a South American drink on ice.
Nice.
Very helpful.
What is it? Is it water, juice? What is it?
This is a yerba mate, but on ice.
Okay.
So we call it terere.
Nice. Awesome. Well, everybody, give everybody a rundown of who you are, ZB, and what you do,
All right.
what you're all about, and we'll go from there.
Yep. Okay, so I'm ZB, but online, if you want to look for me, type Nauchter into any text box, and if anything pops up, it's going to be about me. And I'm maintaining a tool called Lava Modes. And by doing that, I secure open source, although a more specific niche. So I secure JavaScript open source, not only open source, but the ecosystem that builds JavaScript apps. And so as everyone probably knows, if you ship JavaScript apps to users, 90-something%, often 98% of the app code is actually not authored by you, but by random people you never met, right? And this is the part of the ecosystem that I care about securing from an unusual principle. So I work with people who really support this principle of securing things not the way the security industry tends to do it, with this long game of whack-a-mole where we are trying to stay ahead, but secure from first principles, where you deny everything, make doing things, good or bad, impossible, and then do your best to make all the necessary good things possible, which is sometimes difficult, but it guarantees that less insecurity is left in your applications. That's my intro, I guess, in this context. But I've been doing JavaScript and a bit of JavaScript hacking for a long time. My first 5 lines of JavaScript that I've ever written was 25 years ago. as a little funny teenager, and it would crush Explorer on Windows 98. Not just Explorer, but the whole system shell. It
That's
was a happy
hilarious.
accident.
I think I'm still trying to write my first 5 lines of JavaScript. It's a love-hate relationship. It always has been. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. For me,
That's awesome.
the love conquered the hate, and here I am.
Yeah, here we are. We all have our own paths and our own routes of getting to where we're at, and that's great. 30 plus years ago, I just started with HTML. 25 years ago, you wrote your first couple lines of JavaScript, and now here we are on stream for TuxCare. So who would have thought?
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about, ZB? Let me know. Give me the whole everything.
Um,
Just spill it all out, and then I'll
well,
just hit you with a bunch of stuff.
today there's only one thing we could talk about because this month right now pretty much is one of the most important moments in JavaScript ecosystem's supply chain security because we're at the cusp of npm 12 releasing, which is finally making the breaking change to disable install scripts by default. So one of the tools
Wow.
that,
Okay.
yeah, this has been announced, and npm 11 right now already shipped 2 or 3 minor versions containing tools that let you set up the allow list for your scripts natively with npm. And then when npm 12 comes, this is going to become the default way of using it. So you can already use it if you opt in, and then switch over to it being the default comfortably without having to scramble. That being said, I come from a long background of telling people to turn off install scripts because Lava Mode, one of the most basic tools in the Lava Mode toolset is called allow scripts, which is applying the principle of deny everything, allow what you need to install scripts. And it was created over 5 years ago, and we've been pushing to disable all install scripts with only the exceptions that would break the ecosystem. Preferably remove all install scripts, but that's going to take some time.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're at a point where they have a chance of becoming unpopular and getting less and less usage over time. I would love for NPM to follow up this change with a ban for adding any new install scripts to any newly published packages that didn't exist before. That would be great. But that being said, now every major package installer for the JavaScript ecosystem has means to selectively execute install scripts, which is great. So NPM introducing this, PNPM had it starting version 11, and it's there. It's working very well. Yarn has also a very well hidden but available capability of doing that. I'm still exploring to what extent, and it looks like we can't pin versions in there. But I'm exploring it because we want to pivot from telling people to use Lava Mode allow scripts everywhere, which requires a bunch of setup to put in place, and you have to adjust a little bit to how it runs. And here we can now natively across all package managers get this thing working by just applying the right configuration. So in hopes of retiring the allow scripts package, I'm working for a few weeks now on a new package called Lava Mode Harden. So that's npm packages at lavamode/harden. You can pick up a very, very early version of this package, and it contains opinions on how to configure your project with your package manager of choice to be the most secure possible. There's a paranoid mode that turns everything on, and you can then shave a bit off if you need to. And I just pushed a version with a wizard that's going to ask you questions. And it's made pretty also by the Consola package. I recommend very nice package. And with that, you can configure your repository, regardless of which package manager you're using, to be as secure as possible at install time and beyond, which is something we could get into.
That's awesome. No, I definitely want to get into that. I do want to respond to Alex's comment because I can't respond to LinkedIn comments. Yes, that is really cool for npm 12 to allow or to block those install scripts. And I was going to ask you, ZB, do you think now, since PNPM was already doing this, and now npm is going to be doing it, do you think there's going to be a shift off of people that are using PNPM to npm now, or do you think people are going to stay with PNPM? And do you think there's going to be like a little bit of a competition going back and forth? Because you don't hear a lot about people using Yarn. I mean, at least I don't. You don't hear a lot about people using Bun. It's mostly npm or PNPM. So do you think there's going to be like conflict there between the two, between both package managers, even though PNPM resolves to end the npm registry at the end of the day?
Um, so I've been involved long enough to see PNPM show up and become popular. And PNPM's popularity is fairly recent. There was a time when Yarn was everyone's go-to. And with a few breaking changes and PNPM moving fast and staying compatible, as opposed to moving fast and breaking things, PNPM won over a part of the ecosystem. And I don't think there's a lot of strong competition between the package managers these days because they all went their separate ways. And there are people who are staying with npm to be I'm looking for a phrase that's not close to metal, because there's nothing close to metal about it. But they want to stay generic in their tooling of choice.
Okay.
There are people who go with Yarn, and I'm still working with a bunch of people who, out of the three popular package managers, choose Yarn for the special features that it has, because Yarn is the most opinionated, and it has some features and some conveniences that you have to pay with some inconveniences to get. But there are people who are still on Yarn and wanting to stay. By the way, I'm aware that Yarn is working on a new big major version that's going to be a rewrite, potentially involving some Rust and potentially involving very big changes in the opinions that it ships with. Meanwhile, PNPM is working to build a registry proxy that is going to support more possible interactions that they can put in the process of installing by being between the user and the npm registry. So there's a lot of innovation going on in very different directions, but one direction that everyone, may I say finally, agrees is very important is improving the state of supply chain security. And I know there's more supply chain security innovation coming from all three package managers that's in early conversations or planning. So very excited about all of that, and really looking forward to being able to leverage more of it to build on top, because Lava Mode still has plenty to offer.
That's awesome. I fully agree. With between Yarn npm and PNPM, I mean, we have Bun, right? Where does Bun fit into all of this? Like, do you see a lot of adoption with Bun? Because I know it's not just a package manager; it's kind of a whole full-fledged kind of tooling. But do
Yeah.
you see a lot of people, especially front-end developers, like in our community, do you see a lot of people using Bun, or is it just kind of like, we'll try it out type of thing?
I I see a lot of people joking about using Bun when they're stuck on old projects. Uh, but personally, I rarely see Bun in actual use especially for product commercial things, unless they were started when Bun was already established.
Right.
There's yeah there Because it's not about the installation with Bun. Bun just ships a bunch of tools that makes uh, this a one-stop shop for doing stuff. But
Hmm.
Bun is a different environment. So if you're building from scratch, it's easy. But if you're switching from Node, it's not that easy. But I don't know if any of these opinions matter, especially coming from me. But Now that Bun got acquired, we've yet to learn where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth watching because there's decisions being made behind closed doors that will end up driving Bun in one direction or another. And I think if I were to speculate that Bun is going to become more specialized in some directions for some use cases, for it to be more beneficial to its new owners. But on the other hand, how would I know? One other package manager that's worth noticing is Volt, VLT. It's a package manager that's um, an attempt to write everything anew by the people who were involved in building NPM itself in various stages. So every single person writing code for Volt wrote code for NPM full time before, and they are uh, trying again. They are addressing all of the issues that they saw and couldn't address while at NPM. They are reinventing things. This is also something worth watching. And they made a lot of progress on the user experience of knowing what you have in your node modules.
Wow.
That being said, in terms of JavaScript security, the installation step is when 90%, 90 something percent of known attacks happened to date. But this is the least uh, complex part of the problem because you just disable scripts and most malware just doesn't run. And now that we do, it looks like we do have the quorum to disable scripts at large. Uh, Malware authors are going to switch to something else, right? And
Hmm.
now you're going to need to take care of the steps that happen after you install. Because when you install packages and their malicious scripts don't run, there's plenty of opportunities after. So uh, there's the bin scripts confusion where a package could ship with a command included and call that command node or npm. And the way package managers run your scripts from package.json is they put the bin folder of node modules on the end of the path variable that makes it first to be looked up. So if you have a string there that says node build.js, then you will end up running someone's malicious script from their
Right.
package, whatever it was named, before node is found in your path. And then when you do run your linting scripts, your ESLint, ESLint has plugins. There's a huge ecosystem of plugins that people uh, care to write and then sometimes care to maintain, and then often are easily convinced to give to someone else for maintenance. And what if one of your linting plugins happens to take all of your environment variables and send them somewhere? These are the
Yeah.
kind of things we're thinking about at Lavamote and building tools to prevent. And if you're willing and able, you can take the tools we built, uh, put them in place, and get runtime protections. And I'm putting some experimental tooling into the hardened package that I might want to detail later. But most crucially, Lava Mode is a tool that works at runtime and breaks malware for you at runtime. The idea is you have a policy that decides which globals and built-ins for Node.js and generally powerful APIs and dependencies each package can use. So if you remember, Dino first was the first one to introduce permissions where you can say run this but without access to file system or without access to network,
Hmm.
these kind of things. This is now in Node.js as well, by the way. Um, we wrote software that lets you define a policy like that, but with much more granularity in terms of what powerful capabilities are being accessed, and with the granularity of per package for application of that policy. So you can say this wonderful string concatenation library should not have access to anything except the globals that are necessary for base 64 parsing, for example.
Hmm.
And then if that library runs in your CI and tries to read process.env and tries to pass it to fetch, both process and fetch are undefined, as if they were never implemented. Meanwhile, another package that's actually supposed to be your HTTP client wrapper is going to have access to fetch no problem. And we do that by using a tool, a technology, I don't know what I want to call it, a thing called compartment. And compartment is actually designed to be standardized and put into the language. And the crew I joined by working on Lava Mode were contributing to this larger project called Endo. You know, we had Node, we had Dino, now there's Endo. We're not done yet. There's
That was
uh,
funny. That was funny. I was waiting for like, okay, no, Dino. What else is going to be people going to come up with?
yeah. Yeah, so they came up with Endo, and Endo project contains a bunch of people who go to DC39 and try to standardize bits of the tooling that we introduced into the language itself, so that virtualizing running bits of JavaScript within the same realm, which is a fancy term for the process or the tab in the browser, the thing where you get your unique global this, right? So we can run different code within one realm that has one global this, where it is sandboxed, but it can exchange references to objects from the same realm. So you don't have the problems with prototypes being different or the communication being asynchronous or having to pass things by copy through serializable. That gets complex really quickly. But without going into too much complexity, we currently have a shim that implements compartment that LavaMode uses behind the scenes, and that shim is effectively, which I tell everyone to think about it, the way that it's a sandbox constructed from the JavaScript language spec itself. So every spec compliant engine is going to have compartment. There's trade-offs, obviously, because there
Mhm.
are performance improvements that go beyond what the spec is defining. So that's probably the biggest challenge, to not break some of the speed optimizations that V8 is introducing with turbofan and everything. But other than that, we have a sandbox that's built out of JavaScript itself, and we're using that to prevent a package in your dependencies suddenly becoming malicious. And there's a lot of futuristic stuff that you can do with Endo, but Lavamote is here to let you use as much of it as possible right now, because Endo is still a bit of science fiction. It's working, it's there, it's being developed, but it requires you to work differently. It's a tool for running safe and distributed computation at um, at ease, pretty much.
Mhm.
But it will not run a typical um, build process application in CI. It
Mhm.
will not run your front end code. We still want to have this in between for the foreseeable future, where we have tools to protect the runtimes that currently exist. And that's
Makes
where
sense.
Love Mode comes in and lets you emulate the future in which you decide which code in your application can access which powerful capabilities.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, do you want to show a demo or walk through some docs or anything?
Um, do I have? So I didn't know we're gonna do screen sharing. So I don't think I have anything prepared specifically, but I can screen share my browser and show you a few things. Okay, starting screen share. It's gonna be this one. Yeah. All right. Are
Cool.
we visible? Yeah.
Yeah, even walking through
Okay.
the website or the docs. I mean, that's totally cool. It's
Yeah,
no big
this
deal.
is so. This is our docs website. It still showcases allow scripts as the first thing to put in place. We will eventually switch over to Harden, which is currently in version 0.32. I still recommend trying it out because the opinions in there are already useful. It's just that I'm not sure about what goes in and what stays out, but it has a wizard that I recently added, and it's a lot of fun to configure your repository with it. So I recommend just taking it, running it. It doesn't become the main selling point. It doesn't become the dependency of your project. You just install it once wherever you want. You can npx if you dare, and run it that way, and you get your project configured. And then we get into the Node.js bits. So we have a level runtime for Node.js, and we are working on a new version of that. So this is the documentation for the classic Levmo, uh, which works, is stable, is fine, except it didn't support ESM because ESM is a different paradigm in module loading, and it's harder to virtualize ESM module loading. You can't just replace the require function and be done.
Mhm.
So there's a rewrite that's in beta. So instead of installing Lavamote, you install at lavamote/node, and that gives you the new implementation, which is pretty much ready to use, but we're still working on some compatibility improvements because we wanted to run a bunch of newer things. And then if you're doing front end, to this day, I'm surprised we pulled it off, but we managed to uh, take bundling, and Webpack happens to be the only still acceptable bundler that people actually use, that has enough um, API surface to let us do it directly. So we have a Webpack plugin that
Hmm.
wraps all of your modules in special containments and emulates compartment within the bundle and lets you do what LoveMode does, which is apply policy to the packages that go into your compartment at runtime. So to make it easier to understand how significant that is, if you have obfuscated code that no syntax analysis is going to figure out, and that code tries to do something like read document cookie and pass the fetch, it's still not going to have access because we remove everything from the visible global scope and only add references that you want it to add. So it minimizes the attack surface. And then hopefully, I got in touch with people from Rolldown, and they were open to adding some API surface that we would need or integrating more directly to potentially make Lava Mode work with Rolldown in the future. That might be coming in the pipeline. And then what we're doing is we're creating a policy JSON and policy override JSON, which looks kind of like this. So you have the package name or the package location inside of your dependency tree to ensure that multiple packages with the same declared name are identified uniquely and precisely. And you can decide which built-ins, which globals, and which other packages are going to be available to it. So we can say it can use these. It's going to use console. It's going to use process.exit code. But if it tries to use process.env, that's going to be undefined. Right? You can have that level of granularity.
Wow.
And this is what Lava Mode is about. And then behind this, there's also, let me see, did I type it right? Yeah. So this is hardened JavaScript. This is the core behind all of it. This is where the compartment shim comes from, and you can read more about it if you really want to go deep and figure out how it works. You're gonna be scared. But yeah, we provide compartment and lockdown. Uh, I didn't mention lockdown before. Lockdown is a nice feature that you can use to turn JavaScript's flexibility against itself. So famously, you can go and modify prototypes for all of the JavaScript built-in objects. Like you can say array.find is going to be a different function because I want to re-implement it differently. This means you can polyfill JavaScript. So this was a decision in the original design of the language that all of the built-in stuff in the language spec itself is going to have prototypes that can be modified and amended because someone had this very rare idea in our programming culture that when you create a language, it might not be perfect.
Hmm.
I know it's it's a rare idea that you can create something like a language and it's not going to be awesome, but they decided that it's probably not perfect, so it's going to need extensions. And then between a polyfill and a prototype pollution attack, the difference is intentions and nothing else.
Right.
So Harden is a tool that lets you freeze an entire object. Lockdown applies Harden to the entirety of JavaScript spec environment. So it's impossible to change object prototype, array prototype, etc. And it limits what you can do with eval. to an extent when you're using compartments. And so you get an environment in which the most severe prototype pollution attacks become impossible.
Wow.
This is an interesting concept, and if you're building React Native applications, first my condolences. Second, sorry. Second, there's a package that we developed. Let's see here, React Native Lockdown, because React Native is using a JavaScript engine that does not implement the entirety of JavaScript spec. So we couldn't pull off the entirety of Lava Mode yet. I have a vague idea on how to maybe do it, uh, but I'm going to need help from some React Native experts. If anyone wants to volunteer, hit me up. Um,
Well, it's funny that you
that
bring that
being
up
said,
because I'm speaking at Chain React at the end of July, and that's a React Native
oh,
conference.
nice.
So I have
Yeah,
friends in the React Native space, so I will definitely ask
send
them
them
if,
my way.
hey, yeah, definitely will, definitely will.
Yeah, the stuff we currently have is a very convenient means to introduce to Expo or Metro config a little serializer thing that's going to put the lockdown part in the exact right time in your final bundle so that all of the polyfills that React Native relies on are going to execute correctly. And then we freeze everything in place, and there can no longer be a prototype pollution attack in your React Native application. Uh, Unless you naively copy user inputs into an object and custom fields can be put on a prototype of your own object, but
Hmm.
not on the object prototype. So you can't do the worst, which is change the global object prototype and make a different part of the application malfunction. And this also blocks a lot of possibilities for pivoting around the application from a single dummy malicious package that doesn't have access to anything important in its own closure. So it would have to use prototype pollution to reach something more valuable in your app. Um, that's the total extent of what we can offer to React Native developers right now. But do check out Harden because you do still run Node.js processes in CI. So that's going to help you. All right. Uh, yeah, I guess that's the overview. Feel free to check out the website, get in touch. If you do deploy a full capacity of Lava Mode for Node or your Webpack project and want to consult, get in touch. I'm happy to help out a few projects just to get the experience of what actual users with real projects want from Lava Mode in terms of what additional tools and compatibility with the ecosystem we can provide.
Awesome. So besides promoting Lava Moat, I'll ask some friends in the Chain React community, in the React Native community. Is there anything else that you want to plug, ZB, before we end? Any conferences that you're going to be at, or conferences that you're going to be speaking at?
Um, so I took a little bit of a break from going to conferences this summer, but I'm definitely doing my best to get to NodeConf.eu. NodeConf.eu is one of my favorites. You go there and you meet friends from the community. If you want to be embedded in the Node.js community, like this is the place to go. It's a reunion. This is probably where I hugged the most adult people in one day in my life when I first went to NodeConf.eu. This
Yeah.
is like a reunion of people from JavaScript and open source. Definitely recommend it.
Awesome.
and
Cool.
it's in Italy this time.
Ooh, that'll be nice. That'll be real nice. That'll be fun. But cool. Well, appreciate the time, ZB. I know we tried to get this going earlier, but taking breaks and travel and busyness happens. So thank you
We
again.
hit the perfect date.
Yeah. Thank you again for your time. Yeah, it did. It worked out perfectly with all the different things happening and then all the attacks that have been happening recently. So that's really great. Like I said, once again, thank you again for your time. Tune in next week. We will have another stream with another guest, and then yours truly goes on vacation for 4th of July here in the States. With that being said, we're going to end it. I will catch you on the flip, ZB.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome, bud. Later.
Bye.